Hoosier.
Shut up, Siffle. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels and Joe. This is the Happy Hour.
You guys going to happy hour?
Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America.
Yeah, I'll come for a couple.
Here are your hosts, Nick Sainert.
I want to know what it's like to commit a crime without having to spend time in jail.
And Enrique Alvarez Clary.
C is for chunk.
Brought to you by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back in. It's the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. So, Nick Sainer, Enrique Alvarez Clary, hope you guys had a good Christmas. 402-464-5685, the Honda Lincoln hotline, the Starter Heyman text line. Rico, what is this slander that I'm hearing about Jared Crick? Are you aware of the 2010 season that he had?
Hold on.
After Ndamukong Suh left.
Apparently I'm not.
And the hit that he had on, I believe it was Keith Price at Washington.
That is what Bach was telling me.
I think that game was at home. I want to say
one hit
can't
does
remember if
not
the
a
2010
career
game was
make,
on the road.
except for, certain people.
Come on, it was a pretty big hit, though.
Okay. I would like to offer an apology
There.
to the Jared Crick family.
Thank you.
Because
Gee
I am
whiz.
misremembering his career, and I blame him.
What? Wait a minute, what?
So his year with Ndamukong Suh, he had 9.5 sacks and 12.5 tackles for loss. His year after that, he had 9.5 sacks and 14.5 tackles for loss. He had the same season, and that's without an All-American, probably a guy who should have won the Heisman as a defensive tackle by his side. And then his senior year, he only played in 5 games because of injuries.
Yep.
That's the season I remember after Ndamukong Suh. I don't remember his junior season, and I blame him. He should have left after his junior season and gone to the NFL. He would have been drafted higher and made more money.
So this was the game in 2010 was at Washington, and this was the one I believe that he had the hit on Keith Price.
I blame Jared.
Nebraska wins 56-21 on the road in Washington. Ooh. Nebraska was ranked 8th in the country at the time. And while Washington slipped to a 1-2 record in front of a 72,876 person crowd. And this was on ABC. That's right. This one was on ABC it was a nationally televised game.
That's what Nebraska gets when they're ranked.
Taylor Martinez, 137 yards on the ground, 3 touchdowns on 19 carries. Roy Haleu had 10 carries for 110 yards and 2 touchdowns. And Rex Burkhead had 13 carries for 104 yards and a touchdown. Combined for Nebraska's, at the time, 4th triple 100-yard game in school history, and the first since the Baylor game in 2001. That is unreal.
Mississippi Mundog says the Keith Price hit was 2011 and was a home game. 2010 was Jake Locker. Yes, I remember.
Thank you, Mississippi Mundog. Thank you.
2010 NFL draft, 2011, whatever you want to call it. I don't know. Well, how do the drafts, because it's in the new year, but it's the previous season.
It's the previous season.
I'm just going to call it the 2010 NFL draft.
It's the same thing of like the college football playoff.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Yeah.
I never know what year to call it, but that NFL draft, the top 10 picks, 8 out of 10.
That's right.
Are all pros. Jake Locker was one of the all-pros.
It's funny when you see the old quarterbacks, those middle of the road quarterbacks like the Ryan Mallett, and Kellen Moore was in there. Ryan Mallett from Arkansas.
The Patriots
you had
him.
That's right.
I was excited about him.
You had Ryan Mallett. You had
Tom Brady was not giving that up.
Obviously, who we just mentioned. Andy
Jake
Dalton
Locker.
isn't part of that. Andy Dalton was on the good side of
Dalton
Cincinnati.
Is better than them. Andy Dalton's better than all of them.
100%.
All of the quarterbacks that we're mentioning right now, Andy Dalton is better.
Yeah, Andy Dalton's way better than Ryan Mallett. I'm not trying to go after Andy Dalton.
Any quarterback drafted by John Elway for the Denver Broncos?
That's a good point. Shout out to Raph. Speaking of that, Randy Gregory got a suspension.
Of course.
Denver's in shambles.
Randy, which is why their coach got fired.
Yeah,
he lost
Nathaniel
the locker
Hackett.
room.
Yeah, that's not a good show for the Denver Broncos. Appreciate you guys tuning in. 402-464-5685. Honda Lincoln Hotline, Starter Heyman text line, both those open for you guys throughout the entirety of the show. Let's so the scholarship numbers were sort of released, and we're going to talk to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska here coming up in about 20 or 25 minutes or so. And we'll talk scholarship numbers. We'll talk, Garrett Nelson departing for the NFL draft. He decided to move on from Nebraska. And then we'll also kind of dive into just to put up a final bow or wrap a final bow on the Huskers signing class as well. So when we look at the scholarship limit, now you'll remember that Nebraska and every program needs to be at 85 guys by the time the season begins. So you can have over 85 and you can practice with 85 until but once fall camp starts, you have to be at 85.
You got to be at 85.
Got to be at 85 scholarship guys. Nebraska currently sits at 92.
That's more than 85.
So they're sitting right now 7 over the limit, I suppose. So once again, I mean, there's some rooms that you can look at and see some potential attrition. Quarterback being one of those, because you have, I mean, so no true freshman quarterbacks.
If I say 2 quarterbacks transfer, is that outlandish?
I don't know if it's outlandish. I think we look back at, and we hate to compare to previous staffs, but you look at the entirety or the majority of Scott Frost's time at Nebraska, and they carried 5 quarterbacks. Nebraska now under Matt Rule brings in a guy in Jeff Sims.
Play anybody after number 1.
That's a good point. But and the drop off, it's not even that I think that they refused to play anybody. I think it was the lack of competition, because you saw it in the games. Lack of competition, lack of development can kind of all be bundled up in that conversation, because you saw it in games where the drop off from your starter to number 2 and number 3, it's such a wide gap. And I'm not saying there's not going to be a drop off, but like Nebraska at times, the backups looked inept to come in and orchestrate any sort of offense
in
consistently.
terms of the offense that they were running at the time before Mark Whipple, before this last year. The drop-off was there, but I don't think it was as immense between Adrian Martinez and Logan Smothers as people make it out to be now that we're looking back at it. I mean, you saw it in the Iowa game. He was serviceable. He was able to.
You have to remember how they called that game, though.
I understand.
And it was extremely simplified.
It was, but you could have done that at any point during the season. Against Michigan State, when Adrian gets his jaw literally broken, you could bring him in and simplify the offense right then and there. It shouldn't take you a week to simplify an offense. To make things more complicated, sure, but to simplify things and keep things, to a certain amount of plays or just cut things out of the playbook, you should be able to do that right there on the sideline.
I think, there's multiple conversations and branches that you can have to this discussion where it's hard for a backup quarterback to go in and get into a rhythm when he's having to be flushed out of the pocket within moments of snapping the ball, or when you have a running back that's unable to run the football, or you don't have a coordinator that is unwilling to run the football or even try to stick with the run or try to simplify. And that's kind of the situation that Nebraska was faced with this season. I just think when we look at the drop off, I get frustrated because Nebraska's been on the opposite end of it so many times, or on the other side of the field so many times. The first one comes to mind is in 2021 when they went to Illinois and Brandon Peters gets hurt, and Artur Satowski, who was a backup at Rutgers, who just transferred into Illinois, is able to lead the Fighting Illini down the field and multiple times, and they end up beating Nebraska in a very crucial game. The list can go on and on of backup quarterbacks. Yes, exactly. Kaliak Manis. List of quarterbacks goes on and on of
what happens if Ty Robinson doesn't hit their quarterback so hard.
Like, does Nebraska win? Does Nebraska beat Minnesota?
Do they swap
if Tanner Morgan's still in it?
Do they bench Tanner Morgan for Kaliak Manis in the third or fourth quarter? I don't think so.
So I don't know. It's like Nebraska's just been on the other side of the field so many times when the backup quarterback has come mid-game. And is there a drop-off? Yes, there's always going to be a drop-off unless you're at a place like Michigan or Ohio State or Bama where, the talent gap isn't so despairing. But Michigan, think about it this way. Cade McNamara was kind of just there, and he knew he was about to get benched. And J.J. McCarthy, they brought him in as a high 4-star, maybe even a 5-star, if I can't remember correctly. Brings him in as a 5-star. They started weaning Cade McNamara, J.J. McCarthy into the offense last year in certain plays. And then you kind of knew that it was inevitable when they said, we're going to play Cade McNamara the first game, then we're going to start J.J. McCarthy the second game, and we'll get to make a decision.
JJ got the start against Hawaii. That's kind of where it told me that.
And don't forget that spread. That spread was 55.
Yeah.
And I think they
hit it.
covered.
I think they covered. Yeah, I was like, if
So-
he's starting against Hawaii, if you're just looking purely at stats, he's going to be the starter.
So I don't know. I like once again, read into it what you will, and there's a lot of offseason ahead, and I'll update my spreadsheet throughout the entire offseason, make sure we're all good to go. But I mean, for example, Nebraska has 6 quarterbacks in their room right now. Senior Casey Thompson
I was saying,
coming back.
Let me name him.
Okay, go ahead.
Are we counting Jeff Sims in the quarterback
Yep.
room? Okay.
All transfers are included on this spreadsheet.
All right, Jeff Sims.
Yep.
Casey
Is
Thompson.
what year?
He is a junior.
Yep.
Casey Thompson is a senior.
Yep.
Logan Smothers is a junior.
Mm-hmm.
Heinrich Harburg is a sophomore.
Yep.
Richard Torres is a redshirt freshman.
Yep. You're missing one.
I am missing one. Who did I?
His brother is a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Oh, Chubba Purdy.
There you go.
Is a sophomore?
Sophomore. So there you go. There's
Yeah.
your 6 quarterbacks.
And then a whole bunch of other
room.
quarterbacks that walked on.
Yeah, walk-ons. But so once again, this is the scholarship distribution chart.
Shout
so
out to Jarrett Sinek.
Shout out to Jared Sinek. Running backs are interesting.
I'm not going to be able to name them.
There's only 6.
Oh, maybe I can.
There's only 6 in the room because
Gabe
remember Jacques Yant
Left
for FIU.
Yes. Okay. Gabe Irvin.
Not FIU. Florida International?
Florida
No.
A&M.
A&M. That's
the
right.
Rattlers.
Thank you. I knew it was an orange and green team.
Yeah,
It wasn't. I
it's
knew
great.
it wasn't
Their
FIU.
Their jerseys are fantastic. Ramir Johnson, Gabe Irvin, Anthony Grant.
Yep. You're missing 3.
Um,
Another Johnson.
AJ Allen.
Okay.
Another Johnson.
Another Johnson, who is a redshirt freshman.
Oh,
Player of the year in
from
Minnesota.
From Minnesota.
Yep.
Emmett Johnson.
And then Quentin Ives, who is the true freshman.
Okay.
So there's your 6.
Okay.
Tight ends. Tight end is an interesting one.
That's
Very interesting. So you lose Travis Vokalek, right?
yes.
There's 6 guys in the room.
6.
Chris Hickman is a junior. He is your oldest.
How is he a junior?
I know. Like, and that's where you get the COVID years and you get the 6th year eligibility and you get all this mixed in there. And when I'm typing this out,
injury.
Well, Nick Henrich is the same way. Nick Henrich is a junior as well.
Right. Goodness.
So,
gracious.
and this is for next season. This is not this season, right? So Chris Hickman is a junior. Sophomores, Thomas Fedoni,
Mhm.
James Carney, AJ Rollins.
Okay.
Redshirt freshman, Chase Androff,
Mhm.
Brody Tagaloa.
Oh, I forgot about Brody.
So when you look at the tight end room,
Goodness gracious.
not really sure who's going to separate themselves there. Not really sure. AJ Rollins was
Did
a
you
great
name
spring
Borkature?
story.
Nate Borkature, or is he a walk-on?
He's a walk-on.
He got a lot of time for a
Yeah.
walk-on.
Yeah, he got time. So once again, all right. So wide receiver, there's 11.
I'm not even going to try.
Not even gonna try.
No, I'm not even
The
gonna
4
try.
guys they brought in, true freshmen, Malachi Coleman, Jaden Doss, Jalen Lloyd, Bryce Turner.
Mhm.
Redshirt freshmen are Victor Jones Jr., Janarian Bonner.
Mhm.
Sophomore, Sean Hardy.
Forgot.
For people forget Sean Hardy's still
Forgot
here.
Sean Hardy.
Juniors, Alante Brown and Tommy Hill.
I love Alante. Alante's not a senior.
Alante's a junior.
Goodness gracious.
And seniors, your 2 senior wide receivers on the season,
Marcus Washington.
and Joshua Fleeks, the Baylor transfer that they got on signing day.
Touche.
Offensive line. Now, this is going to be a touchy subject for folks because this is where it gets a little hairy.
All
All right.
They were very young last year.
They were young, and now they've had a lot of transfers. They've had a lot of guys leaving. In terms of Kevin Williams,
You'd be very
defense.
happy what just happened.
Buffalo.
Forced a fumble and recovered it.
Shout out to
They're
Buffalo.
up by 3.
I got Buffalo in the bull pick. Rico knows that, so we need the
Shout out to Buffalo.
Buffalo Bulls to win. All right, so here we go. This is at offensive tackle. There are 7 guys in the room, and once again, I like to think when we have this discussion, proven production and somewhat potential,
Mhm.
and that's going to be kind of hard to find on the offensive line. But
And these are both tackles.
these are both tackles, just offensive tackle.
Okay.
And positions may change every couple of
that
days.
happens.
Hunter Anthony is a senior.
Mhm.
Didn't play very much last year.
No.
Your 3 juniors, Bryce Benhart, Turner Corcoran, Teddy Prohaska. Teddy,
He didn't redshirt.
He didn't redshirt, but he might be able to get a medical redshirt from last year.
Yeah. You're right.
So as of right now, he's a junior.
Well, his freshman year, he should get it. He only played in 1 game, 1.5.
Maybe I was figuring wrong. Either way, Teddy Prohaska's in the room.
I'm gonna give him sophomore.
Okay, sophomore is fine. I'll wait to move it.
Yeah.
We can ask Steve about that in
Yeah,
a second.
we'll figure it out.
3 freshmen at tackles that they brought in: Gunnar Gatula, Brock Knutson, Jason Machichek.
Oh, that is a weird room.
So it's kind of more known now that Jason Machichek will probably play offensive line.
Yeah. That is a weird room.
Weird room in the offensive tackle. Guard, there are 4 on scholarship.
Oh, no. Oh, no.
Nuri Nuili, Ethan Piper, Henry Latovsky, and true freshman Sam Sledge.
Defensive lineman that moved over to offensive line.
Are you talking Justin Evans Jenkins?
No, it was the other one that I can't remember, and I feel like a terrible person for not remembering this. It was late in the season. They asked Mickey about it.
Mm-hmm.
He was obviously not going to play because he had just made the move. He asked what he could do to help the team and asked if he could move over to offensive line, and they did, and he was working with them, I think, for the last 2 or 3 weeks. But obviously we weren't going to see him. And I cannot think of who it was to save my life. Whatever.
So either way, think about that. Think about that, and we'll figure it out if you can think of the name. But as of right now, that's all I believe. That's all that's there.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say I double crossed this with another website.
Mm-hmm.
I double crossed this with 2 websites.
Jalen
Weaver.
He transferred.
Yeah,
Okay.
he transferred.
Thank you, burnt cheese.
Yeah. So there we go. Let's keep moving here real quickly, because I think it's interesting to see where Nebraska stands. You have 2 centers that are officially listed as centers, and we know that they're working at center. Now there might be more. There might be more, and that's transfer Ben Scott because Trent Hickson graduated.
Yes.
And Justin Evans Jenkins is now a redshirt freshman.
Mm-hmm.
He was a true freshman last year. So that's your offensive line. Yeah. Thanks everybody for calling in Jalen Weaver.
Thank you all.
Okay, so interesting thoughts on the offense in general. When we look at quarterbacks, you would expect maybe we see some attrition unless they want to carry 6.
I'm still saying 2 transfers.
And with this thought, somebody asked us earlier or kind of stated that they believed Malik Hornsby is still a possibility.
And that's why I'm saying 2 transfers.
I'm actually going to go against it. I'm going to say I don't think Malik Hornsby is as big of a possibility.
He's looking at what? UNLV?
And that is from our Mike Schaefer said that on early break at one morning as well.
Somebody else in Nebraska. So he's down to his top 3, but
So
I mean, if he wants to be,
do they take him?
Be a starter and he wants to play quarterback. And Nebraska, from what we've heard, what has been rumored is that they might move him to wide receiver or something this year, and then maybe quarterback next year, depending on the season.
But Jeff Sims is a junior, so it's the same situation as Casey Thompson.
Because if Casey plays, then Jeff Sims still has another year, and then Malik Hornsby would have to not play quarterback another year, and it would just be a whole weird situation. So,
I think, here's the deal. You can never have too many bodies or too deep, I suppose. But it's very intriguing to sit here and think about, what does a guy like Chubba Purdy do after, this season? What does a guy like Logan Logan has said publicly that he wants to be at Nebraska, and he's shown that through his, not only through his words, but also his actions, and basically not entering the portal, not leaving.
Logan Smothers has enough talent to be a starter somewhere. Maybe not at a Power 5 level, but he has the talent to be a starter somewhere.
So we just got asked the question: do you guys think Smothers could play wide receiver? I look at when I look at that. Here's the deal:
be a quarterback.
Is I look at it like Logan Smothers versus Luke McCaffrey at Nebraska, and Logan Smothers, I think, has shown more ability to be a quarterback than Luke McCaffrey did. We were so enamored and pumped up for Luke McCaffrey because of what he could do with his legs. But I believe Logan Smothers has been able to show at least enough through the air to show to be, like Rico said, maybe not a quarterback at a Power 5 school if he decided to move on, but after these last 3 years, shown that he can be a Power 5 quarterback at Rice.
Heck,
a starting quarterback at Rice.
I think he could be a serviceable starter for Nebraska, depending on what kind of offense they attempt to run.
It's gotta fit.
I think he could. I truly believe that he could be a starter at Nebraska at a Power 5 school if they have an offense that suits his skill set. Because look, he's got a good enough arm and he's got really talented legs, and he's a smart guy. His football IQ is also really high. So I don't know. I feel bad for the dude because he wants to be at Nebraska, but there's no there's really no path to him becoming a starter unless he just
Well-
outplays everybody.
Well, and it stinks. I mean, from a Logan Smothers perspective, it kind of sucks because you've had changes not only in the quarterback coach that frankly needed to happen.
Mhm.
You also had changes at the head coach post, which once again needed to happen, and you just keep getting passed up or not even given an opportunity. And that's just the way college football is, unfortunately. When new coaches get in here, they want their guys. It's the same thing we said last year with Mark Whipple. When he gets in here, he wants to be able to have his guy, and he did so with Casey Thompson and Chubba Purdy. And here we are. I mean, Logan, once again, not saying that he needed to get a fair shot or everybody on the roster should get a fair chance. It's just that's just the way college football works nowadays, where you go out and get Jeff Sims, who started a decent amount of games at Georgia Tech, doesn't have the greatest stats, 30 touchdowns, 23 interceptions throughout his career, but has started, I know that's Ben Scott, who has started 28 games, getting the numbers mixed up. Either way, started 3 seasons at Georgia Tech, and now the way that Matt Rule was talking about him, as of December 27th, I'd be confident to say that Jeff Sims is kind of the favorite.
Yeah,
and that's even with Casey Thompson on this roster. So
he still has to get healthy.
It's just one of those things where that's just what happens, unfortunately, in college football when you get a new staff and especially a new position coach or offensive coordinator for that matter. But when I guess I have a tough time believing or seeing a path that they take Malik Hornsby at quarterback this year.
Yeah, it'd be hard.
But then once again, I mean, you look at wide receiver, which would be the other place for Malik Hornsby to kind of land at Nebraska, and you have Marcus Washington, Joshua Fleeks as your 2 seniors. And then it's Alante Brown and Tommy Hill.
Alante Brown, who is a converted quarterback, and Tommy Hill, who is a converted corner. Granted,
it's just interesting. It's interesting how that wide receiver room has shaken out, because if you would have asked us 3 years ago, it would be Omar Manning was going to leave a big mark on Nebraska at his time. And then you had Xavier Betts still on the program. You had these dudes that you were expecting to be here for a substantial amount of time that had proved, not Omar Manning necessarily, but Xavier Betts, that when given the opportunity excelled, and there he was, but then they up and leave, or you have guys that transfer, or
just doesn't work out.
Or yeah,
sometimes it just doesn't work.
You have Wyatt Lever in the game in the fourth quarter, or you have Oliver Martin on his 3rd different school. It's just like that's where Nebraska was at last year, and now that those 3 guys graduated, Omar, Omar, Oliver Martin, and then there's one more that I'm blanking on, a wide receiver. When you have those 3 guys graduate this past season, you're left with 2 seniors, 2 juniors, a sophomore that hasn't played. I should reverse that. 1 senior wide receiver, 1 senior transfer wide receiver, a junior wide receiver that has gotten limited playing time, a junior wide receiver that was converted from a defensive back that hasn't played a second at wide receiver but has played special teams, a sophomore that hasn't seen the field, 2 redshirt freshmen that haven't seen a field, and 4 true freshmen. That's what you're left with, unfortunately.
Weird room.
And so it all starts, and I get that this will be the last thing before we get to Steve Mark, and we'll talk to him about this stuff. But this is kind of, we're seeing it unfold right in front of our eyes on how Matt Rule does his thing. Or how any coach, when they get here and they're known as developmental or a long-term success type of coach, I think we're starting to see that, because here we have, Nebraska, for example, just look at the wide receiver room. In 2 or 3 years, you're going to be sitting there, if you're able to keep Malachi Coleman, Jaden Doss, Jalen Lloyd, and Bryce Turner all within your program. Man, Nebraska's got 4 redshirt sophomore receivers that have been in the program for 3 years. Okay, there's something there, and it's also sustained. It's also sustainable for what the 2 years are to come. Their junior and senior years, or junior years if they're NFL type.
Yeah.
So once again, it makes sense looking at it from just a depth chart point of view. And that's all we can do right now in late December, because the games haven't been played yet in 2023. But looking from simply just a depth chart perspective, you're seeing them bring in a lot of guys at specific positions and building that depth for 3 years down the road. Now, on the flip side, that means little experience and little college football time in the near future, next season, more specifically in 2023. We didn't get to the defense, like
The defense is taking some hits.
the defense is taking hits, and now you lose one in Garrett Nelson.
Mhm.
And I mean, your oldest, you have one redshirt junior at defensive end, and that's Ty Robinson. The rest, all of their 6 guys in the room, haven't played a snap. I guess Ruquan Buckley has played a little bit of time for Nebraska, but you bring in Elijah Judy, Kay Wallen, and then you have 3 freshmen in Uman Mielen, Maverick Noonan, Mason Goldman.
And Ty Robinson's been more interior.
So
your defensive
so
end,
it's
your,
like
your defensive end room position is inexperienced when it comes to Nebraska.
And you might see it. You might also see it where they put an edge guy up there. We don't know necessarily what Tony White's defense is going to look like specifically at Nebraska, but they have 3 guys listed at edge, and that's Jamari Butler, Blaze Gunnarsson, and Jake Applegate, the Lincoln Southeast grad. So there's people, just not experienced.
There are bodies in
and
all
so
of these rooms
where you could, if you want to look from a 5,000-foot view, hey, maybe in year 3, Nebraska's going to be experienced. They're going to have, instead of just 16 seniors this season, in 3 years, they're going to have 31 seniors on the team. Or in 2 years, they're going to have 22 seniors on the team. Unfortunately, that means 2023 might be a little painful.
You're going to have to get through a year or 2.
Yeah. And maybe you can, as a texter says, hopefully Nash can take a jump. And I think that's the thought process on a lot of guys. And maybe we see some late additions through the transfer portal for this staff, whether that's in the tight end room when your most experienced guy there is Chris Hickman, who's been bouncing back and forth from tight end and wide receiver. Thomas Fedoni, who hasn't been able to get healthy. AJ Rollins, who was a spring story.
The guy who has the most game reps is a walk-on in the tight end.
Yeah.
In Nate Borkacher.
So I don't know. And Byron said that spring ball is another wave of the portal. We're not done. And I get that. But the thing is, I'd like to add,
you're going to have to lose.
Yeah, you're gonna have to not necessarily cut, but say, hey, we got to go in a different direction because you are at 92 scholarships.
Yeah, if you want to bring people in, you've got a lot of people that you're going to have to say sayonara to.
And I suppose let's just hope that breeds competition. Let's just hope that breeds true, authentic competition. So, all right, let's get to break. Let's talk to Steve Mark, Inside Nebraska. We'll continue this conversation, talk about some commits, maybe even talk about the college football playoff semifinals coming up on Saturday. We'll do all that with our good friend Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska coming up next.
Follow Nick and Enrique on Twitter at Nick_video.
There's a lot that goes into buying a home. Security First Bank can help lighten the load. Whether you're looking for more space or a new place, we make the process easier with friendly, experienced mortgage lenders. And whether you're building new or remodeling the old, we have flexible financing too. Security First Bank. We're the bank. Member FDIC. Equal housing lender. NMLS number 505011.
Sandhills Global is hiring. Check out sandhills.jobs for more information. Sandhills is looking to fill hundreds of new openings in sales, traveling support, software development, web design, and more. Sandhills has a professional culture and is fast-paced with a focus on growth, innovation, and leading-edge technologies. Career and internship opportunities are available at our global headquarters in Lincoln, Nebraska. Apply today at sandhills.jobs.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
Life-changing research doesn't just take place in outer space. It's also happening right here in Nebraska, and you could play a key role. Solarion, one of the world's leading clinical research organizations, needs healthy adults who are 19 years old and older for a research opportunity. If you qualify, you could earn up to $500 a day for time and travel. Overnight stays may be required. To learn more, call Solarion at 866-213-2965 or visit helpresearch.com/500.
This is Dan Friedman. Between 2010 and 2019, distracted driving caused more than 40,000 car crashes in Nebraska. resulting in over 14,000 severe injuries and deaths. Please keep your eyes on the road. If you have a smartphone, put it away while you're behind the wheel. It will help keep our community safe and secure. This message is brought to you by Friedman Law Offices, helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
Chances are you've tried fruitcake before. Chances are it looked pretty weird. Lots of colors that don't really exist in nature. Chances are it tasted weird. Chances are you need to try fruitcake again. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. None of that weird stuff you didn't like, just real fruit, premium nuts, and the delicious flavor combination of brandy, bourbon, and rum to meld all that together. See for yourself. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill. Open for lunch and dinner at 10th and P or at 1501 Center Park Road.
Tractor Supply is looking for full-time team members for their Waverly Distribution Center. Tractor Supply has a new progressive pay model where team members receive 5 wage increases in the first 2 years of employment with the ability to earn up to $24 per hour. Applicants can expect a 3- and 4-day work week schedule with additional overtime days with both day and night shift schedules available. At Tractor Supply, they work hard, have fun, and make money. Apply today at tractorsupply.jobs.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish and provide a free loaner car. Stop by for a free estimate. Eustace Body Shop, just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
We should see decreasing cloud cover and warmer conditions today with a high of around 43. Winds a bit brisk out of the south-southwest at 15 to 20. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of around 29. We'll see increasing cloud cover late in the day tomorrow, but mild temps with a high of 46. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket, FM.com.
You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary. Sponsored by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the Happy Hour, 93.7 The Ticket, theticketfm.com. Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary with you. It is not a Monday. It's actually a Tuesday. Days getting confused, but
wow,
thankfully,
thanks for telling us what day it is.
You're welcome. We are joined by our guest that we usually Mondays on a Tuesday. Steve Mark of Inside Nebraska joins us right now. Steve, what's up, man? How was the holiday weekend? Did we get all the presents?
Did you get everything you wanted?
Everything you wanted.
Yes, I did. Thanks for having me on, guys. I got a nice pair of gloves that I can scoop and shovel snow with when we get set amount of snow. So,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, I consider it a very, very good Christmas holiday stretch for me. And as a matter of fact, I got a nice bottle of Jameson Stout that I'll be working on.
Well,
in the coming weeknights. So pretty excited.
Well, Steve, you telling us that you got everything you wanted for the holidays leads me to believe that you wanted Garrett Nelson to go to the NFL. Is that true?
Oh man. No, I think if you're in Nebraska's defense and you're Tony White, you have your eyes set on the future, but I think those guys would love to have Garrett Nelson back, but he is not obviously declaring for the NFL draft. Just what was it? Not even an hour ago, maybe.
Yeah,
Tough day for the Nebraska defense, losing out on Garrett Nelson, who I thought would be a pretty important culture guy that I think a guy like Matt Rule would like to keep around. But at the end of the day, Nelson Garrett has to do what's best for him and for what he wants to do, him and his family. So all the luck to Garrett Nelson on his NFL endeavors.
Okay, Steve, I guess you were just talking about how Garrett Nelson would be kind of a good culture guy for a new staff, especially one that Matt is like Matt Rule and ran that way. What have you learned and kind of just gathered from these first couple months under Matt Rule? We got to hear him talk last week at the signing day press conference, and we'll get your thoughts here in a second about the commits. But I guess overall, just what are your initial initial reaction on Matt Rule and kind of with the hires he's made, and just how have you thought or how have your feelings changed, I suppose, about Matt Rule?
Well, I guess I went into it kind of curious about how he was going to build his staff and what they were kind of going to try to do on the recruiting trail. And I've been impressed with everything. It's not a recruiting class that is going to jump out off the paper at you with all these 5-stars and 4-star athletes, even though there are some of the 4-star variety. But, I think that for a staff that got a really late start and had basically a month to get a 2023 class together, they did a really good job, in my opinion. And they were going about it their own way. They were trying to get the Bryce Turners, the Quentin Ives, the really under recruited guys who do one thing really well. And in those two examples with Quentin Ives and a guy like Bryce Turner, it's their elite speed. It's the speed that kind of jumps off the page, and maybe they need some development elsewhere in their football games. And I think Matt Rule and his staff are kind of banking on their ability as coaches to develop these guys and turn them into, Division I caliber, Big Ten caliber football players. And on the staff side, I don't know. I like the young and hungry faces that we're seeing on Matt Rule's staff. He said it himself that, he's not a young guy, but that's exactly what he wanted to do, was hire young guys, like Evan Cooper, a rising star, I think, in the industry. Terrence Knighton, the guy who's not too far removed from his NFL playing days. Just bring in some of those young guys, Omar Hales in the recruiting department, and kind of do work. And I think they were doing some excellent work in making relationships all across the country, especially in Texas, which I think is really good for a school like Nebraska. On the East Coast too, with Philadelphia, got some intriguing prospects out there. So I don't know. I think if you're a Husker fan and you're looking at the Matt Rule and his staff, and then the 2023 class that they just grabbed, I think you have to be kind of excited about the direction of the program and where it's going.
We're talking to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska, the rival site for the Huskers. And Steve, I guess when you look at some of the guys that they brought in this class, and I know there's going to be a lot of movement throughout the rest of this offseason, especially probably in the spring when guys really start to see, maybe where they're at on the depth chart and where they might get, placed when fall camp comes around. But I guess as of right now, Nebraska's over the scholarship limit. I saw you guys over at Rivals did a little bit of a scholarship distribution chart. And currently Nebraska's sitting at 92 scholarships, more specifically at the quarterback position. They bring in Jeff Sims. And I don't know about you, but personally, after hearing kind of Matt Rule talk, and especially sitting there, you could feel the vibe that Matt Rule really likes Jeff Sims, and big fan of Jeff Sims. We also know Malik Hornsby visited Nebraska, and there's a chance that he's either quarterback or maybe transitions to a wide receiver. Where's your read on all that, on how the quarterback room? I mean, I understand it's late December, so it might be tricky, and it's far out from their first game in late August against Minnesota on the road. But how do you see the quarterback room from at this point shaking out? And is Malik Hornsby still on the table for Nebraska in your eyes?
Yeah. So right now, if we look at it, 6 guys in that room that have scholarships: Casey Thompson, Logan Smothers, Jeff Sims, Chuba Purdy, Heinrich Harburg, and then Richard Torres, true freshman last year from Texas. Now, that's a lot of guys, right? And I anticipate we here at Inside Nebraska would not be surprised one bit to see attrition in that room. I think that's probably just likely a given. It's going to happen. But who it's going to be, I don't know. But when you look, you're right, Nick. When you look at when you listen to Matt Rule talk about Jeff Sims, I mean, he glowed about him. And look, there's a lot to love about Jeff Sims, 6'4", 220 pounds, just an incredible athlete. First guy off the bus material. He just looks incredible, has a massive, massive rocket for an arm. He can throw it 1,000,000 yards. What I'm wondering about is, his development as a passer. Will he be able to read coverages and take care of the football? Because he did have kind of a turnover problem at Georgia Tech. Now, a lot of the turnover problems came when he was a true freshman starting Power 5 football. That's a tough spot to be in as a young kid, as an 18-year-old. And he threw 13 interceptions his first year at Georgia Tech. So I'm just wondering how Jeff Sims everything is there as an athlete, and it's going to be it's really fun to think about what he can become. But how is he going to develop as a passer, as a Big Ten passer, is what I'm going to be kind of curious about. And then also just the whole Casey Thompson thing. I know his dad came out and said that he's willing to come back and fight. Casey Thompson hasn't said that himself. So we're just kind of waiting to see what Casey Thompson says when that comes about. But, man, I just didn't think that Jeff Sims would maybe come to Nebraska if he wasn't assured, a starting spot, really, because he was a 3-year starter at Georgia Tech. But, if it is Casey Thompson battling Jeff Sims for that starting quarterback role here at Nebraska, that is one fun thing to think about. But, yeah, I don't know. A guy like Chubba Purdy, I could see moving on. Heinrich Harburg, just a really good athlete. I don't know about his future in the program. He has a lot of tools to work with, just like Jeff Sims does. Now, I'm not saying Heinrich Harburg is Jeff Sims, but still a big athlete who can run, has a really big arm, but maybe has to work on the accuracy. And then Richard Torres, we really don't know much about him at all because of the ACL tear he had in his senior season in high school. I like his size, I like his mobility too, but man, we just don't know a lot about some of these guys, and it wouldn't be shocking to see one or two of them move along. With Malik Hornsby, again, elite speed. He's an incredible athlete. There's a reason why Sam Pittman at Arkansas maybe wanted to try him and started him at with the receivers in spring practice this past season. I know UNLV might be in the picture, and some other schools might be in the picture, Nebraska as well. So I don't know what to tell you, man. There's just a lot going quarterback games going on right now, and it's going to be interesting to see them all play out.
Steve, a couple more before we let you go. I do want to ask you, who was your if you had to pick one guy that maybe guys don't, I should say fans don't really know a whole lot about out of this recruiting class, out of this haul. And if you want to include a JUCO guy like Kale Warner in there, you can. But however you want. I mean, who's kind of the steal or the surprise out of this class that fans might, want to take note of?
Okay, so let's go with a one that who has been committed for a while now.
Okay.
Jaden Doss. Jaden Doss, I really like. I love his build. 6'1", 195, around 190 pounds. He's a receiver, but if you watch his highlights from Peculiar, Missouri, they like to play him at different spots all over the offense, and I really like that. He was lining up on the outside as a receiver. He was lining up on the inside at the slot. He was taking handoffs. He was even lining up next to the quarterback as your traditional running back, getting some handoffs that way. I don't think Jaden Doss is going to win many 100-meter dashes, but when you get him the ball in space, he just turns into a running back. I love the way he runs in space. He just looks like a running back to me. A lot of the times he kind of distributed the hit to the defender rather than the other way around, and I really like that. Mickey Joseph, when he was recruiting him during the year, he brought up a comparison to Jamar Chase of the Cincinnati Bengals, another former LSU receiver. Now, I'm not trying to call Jaden Doss, a future Jamar Chase. That's unfair to Jaden Doss, but I can see the similarities just body-wise and how they run. I don't know if they're the fastest wide receivers in the world, but boy, they can move and make some moves in space against defenders. That's like an easy pick for me. But kind of off the wall, under the radar guy, Eric Fields is another obvious one to me. 6'3", 200 pounds from Oklahoma. Boy, I mean, he has really impressive huddle tape, and it's just kind of jarring watching some of his plays about how violent and aggressive he is on the football field. It's really fun to watch. When he makes up his mind, he just goes. And I don't know, I would just love to see him in a year or two, pack on the pounds, maybe get him up to 215 or 220 pounds. If Tony White, the new defensive coordinator, does bring over that 3-3-5 system and he does implement a rover position, kind of like a safety hybrid linebacker that lines up in the middle of the field and just has kind of free reign to do a lot of different things, I could see that being Eric Fields in a couple seasons. So I'm really interested to see Eric Fields and how he develops in the staff.
All right, Steve, last one before we let you go. We're talking to Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska. On a national college football stage, we got two big ones on Saturday. It's the two semifinals, TCU and Michigan, and then Alabama. Oh, gosh. I'm so used to it. Ohio State and Georgia. I mean, how do you see these shaking out? Do you think Ohio State has any shot against Georgia?
Okay, so I'll go with I think they do have a shot. Yes. Do I think that they're going to win? No. So I will go with Michigan and Georgia for the national championship. I just think a lot of the talent that Ohio State has, I like it, and I think they're going to make things interesting. But for 4 quarters, I'll just go with the Georgia Bulldogs. They seem to have their system down pretty good.
Don't count out the Horned Frogs now.
You're not on the Max Duggan train?
Look, I love Max Duggan, absolutely, as kind of a local guy doing big things on big stages at TCU. But no, I will go with Michigan and fighting Jim Harbaugh's, I guess. I just think Michigan, again, for 4 quarters, can TCU keep up with them? Or I shouldn't say keep up. Can they sustain what Michigan is going to bring for 4 quarters? I don't know. So I will go with Michigan and Georgia.
Jim Harbaugh's never seen anything like Hypnotoad. I'm just saying.
Yeah, neither have I.
That's
a crazy fun thing that they got going down there in Fort Worth.
All right, Steve. Hey, man, appreciate the time as always. Thanks for coming in on a Tuesday. We'll talk to you sometime down the road. We'll definitely have you on the show. Before we'll give you a break in these next couple weeks.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Nick. Thanks, Rigo.
That is Steve Marik of Inside Nebraska. We'll take a couple weeks off from football. From talking to Steve. We'll give those guys a break just because they're always with us. Every week they're with us.
Right here.
In our heart. Rico's pointing to our heart.
Right here.
His heart.
Everybody knows.
So, all right, let's
take
a break.
Right here, I think everybody just knows.
Could be mind.
No.
Could be in
our hearts.
They're always in our mind.
No.
All right, let's take a break. Final timeout. We'll be joined by Strick and Nate for the crossover with those gentlemen coming up next on the Happy Hour.
Download our app by searching 90. Listen all day long wherever you are. More of the Happy Hour is next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
There's nothing quite like the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese beef. The Mercado offers unique ingredients you can't find anywhere else, open every day from 8 a.m. to 8 p.m. The full-service butcher shop and retail store is wonderful for meat lovers with their exclusive Certified Piedmontese beef and assorted sausages, plus other quality meats, including pork, chicken, and a wide range of the freshest seafood. Plus, every Friday from 11 to 2, the Mercado serves up the best lunch in town on their Friday Feast menu. Stop in at the Mercado today at 84th and Havelock or visit their website at cpmercado.com to see current deals.
93.7 The Fox KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
We should see decreasing cloud cover and warmer conditions today with a high of around 43. Winds a bit brisk out of the south-southwest at 15 to 20. Tonight, partly cloudy with a low of around 29. We'll see increasing cloud cover late in the day tomorrow, but mild temps with a high of 46. I'm meteorologist Tim Wright for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Life-changing research doesn't just take place in outer space. It's also happening right here in Nebraska, and you could play a key role. One of the world's leading clinical research organizations needs healthy adults who are 19 years old and older for a research opportunity. If you qualify, you can earn up to $500 a day for time and travel. Overnight stays may be required. To learn more, call Solarion at 866-213-2965 or visit helpresearch.com/500.
Tractor Supply is looking for full-time team members for their Waverly Distribution Center. Tractor Supply has a new progressive pay model where team members receive 5 wage increases in the first 2 years of employment with the ability to earn up to $24 per hour. Applicants can expect a 3- and 4-day work week schedule with additional overtime days with both day and night shift schedules available. At Tractor Supply, they work hard, have fun, and make money. Apply today at tractorsupply.jobs.
What does continuing education mean to you? At Southeast Community College, it means helping you advance. Whether that's a class to help you learn a new hobby, get your motorcycle license, or even your GED, SCC can help you take the next step. Financial assistance is available too. Learn more about our continuing ed classes at southeast.edu/continuing education. SCC, your path to personal and professional development.
Chances are you've tried fruitcake before. Chances are it looked pretty weird. Lots of colors that don't really exist in nature. Chances are it tasted weird. Chances are you need to try fruitcake again. Grandma's fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. None of that weird stuff you didn't like, just real fruit, premium nuts, and the delicious flavor combination of brandy, bourbon, and rum to meld all that together. See for yourself. Grandma's Fruitcake from Beatrice Bakery. Online at beatricebakery.com. Welcome to our world of yum.
This is Megan Whitaker from the Nebraska golf team. If you've put your clubs away for the winter, it's time to get them back out. There's no need to stop thanks to Double Eagle Golf. Double Eagle is home to Lincoln's best indoor golf simulators. It's perfect for every level of golfer, with everything from casual games for the kids to hyper-realistic simulations of some of the best courses in the world. And the best part, no matter what the weather's doing outside, it's always golf weather inside. See for yourself. Double Eagle Golf, just 5 minutes from downtown at the Kinetic Sports Complex on West O Street.
Eustace Body Shop, where our customers send their friends. That's the greatest compliment we can receive. If you've been in an accident, we'll get you back in your vehicle as quickly as possible. Our technicians care about you and your family and repair your vehicle to factory standards. We handle your claim from start to finish. Buy for a free app just south of 88th and Highway 2.
The most recommended Eustace Body Shop. That's who we are.
This is Dan Friedman. Between 2010 and 2019, distracted driving caused more than 40,000 car crashes in Nebraska, resulting in over 14,000 severe injuries and deaths. Please keep your eyes on the road. If you have a smartphone, put it away while you're behind the wheel. It will help keep our community safe and secure. This message is brought to you by Friedman Law Offices, helping injured people. It's what we do. It's all we do. Find us at friedmanlaw.com today.
Alexa, play 93.7 The Ticket.
Okay, playing 93.7 The Ticket.
Alexa, turn down the lights.
Dimming the lights.
Alexa, order a pizza, the big one, all the toppings.
Are you sure that's a good idea?
Alexa.
That's a lot of pizza for just one man.
Alexa, just do it. Stop judging me, just do it.
As you wish.
Thanks, Alexa. You're my best friend. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket. You're listening to the Happy Hour with Nick Sainert and Enrique Alvarez Clary, presented by Empire Fence and Netting on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Welcome back into the happy hour. It's time for the crossover as we welcome in Nathan Brennan and Eric Strickland.
The gang is back.
Both of them are back from their hiatus last week.
Yeah.
What's up, boys?
What's up, man?
From their
Boys are back in town.
From their hibernation.
It was a
surely
hibernation.
in
That was a
hibernation.
hibernation.
Exactly what it was.
I was stuffing my
Look at Buffalo. What?
chipmunks
What were you
like,
stu-
in my chipmunk.
Cheeks? Your
like,
cheeks.
Yeah, my
Cheeks.
cheeks
There
like
you go.
chipmunks.
Did you forget the
Yeah.
word cheeks?
Dumper. just like he forgot how to shoot.
What are we doing here already?
It's just
already started.
It's
Just
like
like- yeah.
he forgot how to shoot
Yeah.
last Tuesday at the Battle of the Vault.
And don't blame the
I
suit.
saw that. That
Don't
was,
blame the
Man,
suit because you
I
told
got
me.
the vids. I
'Cause
got
you
the
told me.
videos.
I said it on air, and you said I can shoot with the suit on too.
And I did hit
After 6 tries.
at 4.
Ooh, that one's out. That one missed. That one missed.
and that was the
Let's
suit
try
that
it
you wore
again.
on
Let's try
draft
it.
day too.
But no, but
Should we
listen,
talk about what we call
I'm
it?
taking the look. I'm gonna come in there ready next time. And then look,
Strick.
I haven't shot the ball in months, bro. Like,
That's
with
your-
the
I was
suit
so
on,
tempted to
your
get
fault.
up.
and so I was about to
That's
get hot.
that
and
is
then
your fault for
it was
starting
time
from
to
the
go.
corner. You know what I said about your suit?
This is cold, man. This was not good.
You look like you went to my grandma's house, took the upholstery off her couch, and turned it into a suit.
I thought the suit looked nice.
Exactly.
I
See,
said you just needed some plastic wrap and you would have got it.
I don't care if you like it, as long as the ladies like it.
Rico was like,
Hey.
listen,
I don't care if you like
Tricky,
it.
that's okay. Rico was like, come on, don't spill it on the couch now.
Don't spill on
Don't
the
spill on
couch.
the couch.
That's what the plastic wrap is for.
Okay, Thickles, I see you.
Whoa! It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Don't make me get the gel blaster out.
No.
Got him.
No, it's okay. I see how y'all got jokes for the new year. Y'all got jokes for the new year.
It's all love.
Especially you, T-Bird. I'm off you. You're canceled.
Nah, I'm never canceled.
You're so canceled.
Always
Tricky.
always right
Come
there.
on, you know how I feel about that.
Yeah.
And you just did that.
Hey,
You did that.
it's
to
all
me.
love, Streaky.
Yeah,
You know that.
come on. Even though Rico could probably beat you in one-on-one after I saw how
That
you
is,
shoot.
that is a damn lie. I shoot worse than that. That's why I never talk about my
Yeah.
basketball game.
Nah.
I was gonna pull up if the ball came over to us, Strick. I was gonna pull up.
No.
I should have hit him with the mellow pump fake
Now
when I
that
caught
jumper, I don't know what would have happened.
it.
All I'm saying is that was
air
Firm
ball.
form.
Air
Elbow
ball.
in. They would have picked me up off the bench.
They would not.
Said, you're in.
Well, they needed help because
Yeah.
their jumpers are
Concordia might have
struggling
pulled.
right now.
Concordia might have pulled you up.
They need some
Yeah.
help.
I mean,
Their
they got a
jumpers
big
are
one. They got a big one in a couple days against
Yeah,
Iowa.
Iowa coming in.
And here's the thing: is Iowa people see that they lost at home 92-83 to Eastern Illinois, but that might not sit well with good old Fran McCaffrey. And so, coming off of a break, off of plenty of time to get prepared, off of a loss in a game that you were favored by 31 points at home, and you lost it.
I mean, Nebraska had to play Indiana after they lost to Rutgers. We
Yeah.
saw what happened there.
So
They were
I mean,
not
this
happy.
is Nebraska's going to have to be
That was
ready
still
to
brutal,
go.
though. That was the biggest underdog victory in college basketball history.
It was. Yeah, no,
fantastic.
it was.
That's
But
rough.
I mean, it's that common thought of you don't want to play somebody after a loss like that.
Mhm.
Right.
You don't
Because
want to
they
play.
are focused and locked in
Yeah.
for that entire however long before you play them next. They're taking no days off because they don't want that to ever happen again.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
But the women got a big game tomorrow.
Yeah,
against
women's
Michigan.
got a game tomorrow against Michigan.
Did you know they have 2 wins against top 20 programs? They have a win against number 16 Maryland when they were
On the road.
number 20 at the time on the road, and a win against number 20. Who was it?
Kansas.
Now they're 22nd, and Nebraska is 4th in receiving votes. They received 10 votes to be in the top 25.
Got another one against Michigan, or not top 25, but they got a game against Michigan tomorrow night.
I like what
6
the
p.m.
ladies are doing.
Yeah,
I
6
really
p.m.
do.
at home.
I like what they're doing. They're
Ohio
playing
State's
great.
number 3 in the nation, and Indiana's number 4.
We still haven't heard
Really?
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still haven't heard anything on Allison Widener after she took a big tumble into the camera, into one of the cameramen sitting on the edge of the floor.
Mm-hmm.
She took a big tumble right into the camera,
chair.
into the chair, and she was holding her knee. Did not
She was
did not
on-
return. She returned to the floor.
She was on
did
crutches
not return to
walking
the game.
out, but still
So-
no update on her status.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. But that's a big loss for Nebraska if she's out for a substantial amount of time. It's been a season that's been kind of hurt by injuries for Husker women's basketball. As it's been Sam Hybe's been banged up. Allison Widener was hurt for a little bit as well. Izzy Bourne's dealing with a shoulder injury. I mean, it's just kind
Got
of
a
been
big old like sling type thing on her shoulder.
They've been working through it, though.
Yeah, early
Yeah,
on in
yeah.
the season. Early on in the season, but that's what depth does. That's what
Yeah.
consistent depth. And Maddie Krull, the South Dakota transfer who's from
Well,
Omaha.
how many of the volleyball girls?
One. The
Just
addition
one,
of
right?
Maggie Mendelson has really helped,
Yeah.
especially with the injury to Izzy
And-
Bourne, so they can get her in there. And she's only played 2 games, but she's made her impact felt already. She's a shot blocking machine. She's just so tall and really good at just staying vertical in the post there that it's really hard for teams to get around her. She alters a lot of shots even if she's not getting any blocks.
Well, and just another quick hit. Husker volleyball, Rico, they got a commit over the
they
weekend.
got
Which there's a little bit of extra.
So there's an
stuff to
issue
it.
with this commit. So not
Well,
with her.
Ohio State
so-
just put 5 in the.
Yeah,
Well,
you're right.
Okay, so the issue right now
Listen to
with
this.
volleyball is that, and not just Nebraska, with all volleyball right now, with all the teams, is that COVID year has put a strain on all of the rosters because they were also allowed to have extra people on their rosters for these last 2 years. This year,
means-
they're going back to 12.
Mm-hmm.
So Ohio State was bringing in a class of 5 freshmen. They had to get rid of 5 people off the roster because they were full. So it's been a lot of graduate transfers leaving Ohio State. Nebraska right now, even with the losses of Caitlin Horde, Nicklin Hames, Kenzie Knuckles, Kayla Cat, or not Cap. From this
she
team.
left that last year because of the
no, but from this team, I think it's 4 players. They're bringing in 5, a class of 5 freshmen. And now they're bringing in transfer Marik Beeson from Florida. I think she's a sophomore. She's going into her junior season. She played on that under-21 team with Lexi Rodriguez and Becca Alec that won gold at the Pan American Games. But that puts them at 13 scholarships, which means they need somebody to leave.
Mm-hmm.
And that is going to be really strange. It's going to be weird who's going to leave because Marik Beeson is a pin hitter. She's an outside hitter, but she plays all 6 rotations, which is something that John Cook loves.
Yeah.
And that was what Maddie Kubik was doing, was playing all 6 rotations. But then with the loss of Kenzie Knuckles to injury, that forced him to have somebody else play 6 rotations. And he chose Allie Batenhorst to play 6 rotations. She was okay in the back row. She's much better in the front row. She was okay in the back row. But now with Merritt, she'll play all 6. But she's, again, an outside. And they have a fantastic class, this junior class of 3 or 4 outside hitters. My guess is one of them leaves. I don't know who. But it's going to be really interesting because they've all had their moments in the sun, their moments to shine on this team. So whoever leaves, no matter what, it's going to be a big hit to Nebraska volleyball. But
And
we'll
guess
see.
who will take them? Texas.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I see the little rundown going there. Garrett Nelson, I see you guys are going to kick off the show with that here in a couple minutes. Initial thoughts, just to kind of ease our way into the on the block.
I did happy for him.
Yeah,
I obviously wish he would have stayed. I think that he was a good core of that defense last year, and it's going to be tough to see him go. But I hope it works out for him. Will he get drafted? I don't know.
I mean, how big of a blow is this to the defense? I think it's from even off the field standpoint. It's a big part.
That's
the
leadership
part
of it.
Yeah, the leadership part of it, to have somebody when you're having a transition. Sometimes you want
Stability.
someone to have that position to kind of fill in that. You hope that maybe Quentin Newsom will be one that could step in and fill that.
We'll talk about the scheme too a lot.
Yeah,
that we think that might have gone into the decision.
Yeah.
We're not sure,
but we don't know.
Exactly.
But yeah, we do wish him well. But I'm going to be real about it. I mean, I'll get into it a little bit deeper when we get into the show,
100%.
But I think it's a mistake. To be honest.
Yeah.
But I said both of them are a mistake. But if you want to start clean, you've got some new pieces coming in. To me, let's be honest, and I'm going to share this again, so you'll hear it again if you stay around for the block. For me, to be honest, I thought Caleb Tanner was, by the end of it, the better one of them all.
I would say that as well. In terms of straight up on the field production.
On the field production, getting it done. You seen him. You kind of knew he was there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I think I'll back you up on that, Strick. I'll go with that. All right,
we'll get into it.
Yeah. The guys will get into it immediately, right? 2:00. It looks like you guys are planning to talk about Garrett Nelson.
Both of their edge rushers, even though they didn't have the greatest of seasons, they're both gone now. You got to fill those. You got to fill those voids.
Yeah. So Garrett Nelson decided to enter the NFL draft, announced still about an hour and a half ago or so. So make sure you stick around on the block with Nate and Strick is coming up next. I'll talk about that. But that'll do it for Rico and myself. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. It's good to be back after the 3-day weekend. Hope everybody had a great Christmas and holiday season. But now it's time to turn our attention to the rest of the offseason, as New Year's is right around the corner this weekend. A lot of moving parts, as Steve Marik, our guest, said just a little bit ago. Going to be a lot of moving parts with this Husker football roster and program in the coming months. That'll do it for us. We will talk to you guys tomorrow. See you later.
Adios.